Hi, I'm Caleb Giddings from Gun Nuts Media, and the reason why I look like a giant disembodied floating head right now is because we're doing this video live to talk about the breaking news that just hit today that the ATF is going to change the definition of machine gun to include bump stocks. For those that don't know, obviously bump stocks have been an item of contention ever since the Las Vegas shooter, where the shooter used a bump stock as part of the guns that he had there that he used during the massacre. The Trump administration had made noises about looking into regulating bump stocks or banning bump stocks, and that has hit. So here's what we know as of right now. What is going to happen is the ATF's regulations that are used to define what is a machine gun are going to be amended to include bump stocks. So in the past, the ATF has defined parts as the functional parts of machine guns, certain parts, whether those are trigger modifications, auto sears, things like that. There is a part of a machine gun that the ATF defines as the true machine gun part. What is going to happen is bump stocks are going to be added to that list of things that make a machine gun a machine gun. Whether or not you agree with this ruling, it has far-reaching consequences for many, many people. Now, one of the things that we want to talk about is the implementation of the rule. So I have this from Recoil. This is my source. Recoil is a very reliable source for this sort of stuff. So the new rule should be published by the end of the week, and it will take effect 90 days after the rule gets published. If you have a bump stock, you're going to have either 90 days to destroy them or turn them into the authorities. What does that mean? Well, you can't possess a machine gun unless you have an SOT, a special occupational transfer. Unless you're a licensed machine gun dealer, you don't get to own machine guns, right? Sorry that I'm moving the camera. I'm trying to get slightly better light in here. Anyway, like I said, we were not set up to record a video today. I actually had a different video that I was going to film today, but this bump stock thing happened, so guess what? We should talking about bump stocks today, guys. That's what's going on. All right, so to get back to the bump stock conversation, you're going to have 90 days to turn in your bump stocks or destroy them. Then, obviously, it's illegal to own. So let's talk about consequence number one of this. The ATF does not play when it comes to machine gun parts, okay? They absolutely do not play around when it comes to this sort of thing. They take it very, very seriously. I'm not talking like send you a polite letter. I'm talking about send SWAT teams to your house to shoot your dog. Well, they shoot the dog on accident, and then they shoot you is what really happens. This is a ban that is enforced with the same level that the ATF will enforce all of the other NFA regulations. How you may feel about the NFA is immaterial for the purpose of the discussion. I think the NFA is stupid and should be abolished entirely, but that's not the point. The point is that your bump stock is now federally illegal, and the ATF will actually come and take it from you. Like, you can ask Vicki Weaver how that went for her, but she's dead. So, anyway, what does this mean? What do you do in this situation? All right, you have, from the end of this week, you're going to have 90 days to turn your bump stocks in, or if you have an SOT, you're going to have to get a demo letter for something like that. That's not really part of the scope of this conversation. Let's just stick to talking about what should you as a private citizen do. Now, a couple of important caveats here. I don't own a bump stock. So you should take my opinion on what to do with your bump stock for exactly what it's worth, which is I don't own one. I'm not in this predicament. I can't tell you what to do in this situation. However, the advice that I would give you is the same advice that I wrote in my column on primary and secondary last week when talking about the magazine ban in New Jersey. You should do what you believe is right. Do what risk you're willing to undertake in this situation. And that's a hard question, and it's a hard answer because it's not a great answer. I'm not telling you to mull in all the lobbies and, put a sign, put a video up of you with your bump stock shouting "from my cold dead hands," because they might take it from your cold dead hands. But at the same time, this is a complicated issue, all right? Do I think it's an absolutely bullshit regulation? Yeah, I do. It's not a machine gun part. It does not make the gun fire fully automatic or anything like that. It simulates it. I can simulate fully automatic fire with my index finger, but that's not the point. The point here is, what should you, the law-abiding citizen, do? You have 3 choices, all right? Choice number 1, comply with this ban. I don't think that this ban is a just law. I don't think that it's I don't think that it is a good law. I don't give a fuck about bump stocks, but I don't think that they should be banned either. I also don't like that the ATF can just ban them by changing its own regulations and being like, doo-doo-doo, this is a machine gun now, guys. That kind of sucks, but that's also a different story. So option 1 is comply with the law. That's option number 1. Turn your bump stock in to the police or destroy it or whatever. That's your first option. Maybe that's the right choice for you. Maybe it's not the right choice for you. If you feel that compliance with this law is a bridge too far, then you have 2 choices. You have choice number 1 is or choice number 2, is low profile civil disobedience. So that would be keeping your bump stock and just keeping it in your house. It would be very difficult for the federal government to track all of these bump stocks down because they've been bought with cash, they've been resold, stores were never required to keep any record of sales for bump stocks, that sort of stuff. If it would be really, really hard to prove that anybody had a bump stock, Even if you had videos of you on social media shooting your bump stock gun, it's gone now. You destroyed it or you lost it or whatever. The point is that if you choose low profile civil disobedience and choose to disobey this law, and I want to be very clear, if you don't comply with the ban, again, option 1 is complying with the ban. Option number 2 and 3 are non-compliance, breaking the law, all right? I want to be very, very clear that the potential consequences of non-compliance with the NFA can go all the way up to getting shot by the ATF, all right? Those are very, very serious consequences. And it's something that everyone, when they're deciding what to do about this, needs to bear in mind. I would say ask the people from Waco, the Branch Davidians, how non-compliance with the ATF went, but they're all dead too. So that won't work. Anyway, back to the bump stock thing. Option number 2, low profile civil disobedience. You hide your bump stock, you don't shoot it, you don't do anything like that. You just keep it because you think that it's a stupid law and you're not going to comply. Option number 3, high profile civil disobedience or active resistance, whatever you want to call it. I do not have a lot of kind words for the memory of Mike Vanderboe, but when Colorado banned high capacity magazines and he and his friends went to the state house and passed them back and forth, transferring high capacity magazines in open, blatant defiance of Colorado's law, that was pretty cool. And yes, I'm gonna answer a question here real quick. Yes, if you own a bump stock, based on my understanding, if you own a bump stock as of the end of this week, whenever this rule gets published, the bump stock is now a machine gun part and is subject to all the definitions that a machine gun part would be applied to in the NFA. It's the same as an auto sear, for example. So if you have a serialized M16 auto sear, which, you probably shouldn't have one of those unless you have done all of the appropriate paperwork. It's in the eyes of the ATF, a bump stock will now be the same as a serialized automatic weapon part, like an auto sear or something like that. So yes, if you have a bump stock still in the package sitting on the shelf in your house and you've never done anything with it, doesn't matter, still a machine gun part, can't have it. Anyway, option 3, back to the Vanderbilt story, is public civil disobedience. And that is sort of the come and take them mindset of, I have this fucking bump stock and you can't take it away from me, federal government. It's hard for me to say what I think is the right solution because I'm not in this situation. I don't own a bump stock. I'm professionally not a big fan of the rah-rah come and take them because you don't really win that way in the long run. If I was going to challenge this ruling in a meaningful way, it would have to be through some sort of, hang on, pause everything. The gun owners of America are going to file suit against the ATF about the bump stock ban. Cool story, bro. Gun owners of America has never fucking accomplished anything that mattered when it came to Second Amendment advocacy. Call me when an organization that actually has some wins in the W column does something about the bump stocks. It's not going to happen, but that's cute. Gun owners of America trying to pretend that you're anything other than an organization to line Larry Pratt's pockets. Anyway, back to the whole conversation. If you were going to challenge this, you would need to construct a well thought out legal challenge to it. And that legal challenge couldn't really just be about bump stocks. It would have to challenge a large chunk of the NFA as a whole, all right? And by doing that, then you can get bump stocks back and, whatever. My problem with this, and here's where we kind of get into the nitty gritty. I never really cared about bump stocks to begin with. I never thought that it was something that people were going to get so wound up about that it would ever become an issue. I was wrong. And so now here we are, bump stocks are banned and people are trying to decide what to do with their bump stock. And again, I can't tell you what to do. I can't tell you, I can't even tell you what I would do in this situation with my giant floating head sitting here on this screen. But what I can tell you is you have to decide what is the right choice for you. Because I don't believe in blind adherence to a law that you feel is unjust, especially in a situation like this, all right? If you think the law is unjust, then you should resist it, I guess. If you think the law is just, then turn in your bump stock. If you think the law is unjust but don't want to risk your freedom and possibly life, then probably turn in your bump stock. But it's not for me to decide what you can do. Just like with the New Jersey magazine ban. Again, I wrote a column on that on primaryandsecondary.com last week. And where it really comes down on is it's not for me. I can't decide. That's not my choice to make. I have no skin in this game. And if there's one thing that I cannot stand, it's when people who have no skin in the game are trying to tell other people how to do this, how to live their lives, what choices they should make. I have no skin in the bump stock game. I don't own one. So my opinion on what you should do with your bump stock is worth exactly what you're paying to watch this video. And that's nothing. All I can do is tell you what your options are. And your options aren't great. Your options are comply with a bullshit regulation, which sucks. Engage in an act of civil disobedience by keeping your bump stock and risk your life and risk your freedom and possibly your life. That's a sucky option too. And option three, obviously, is engage in a very public act of civil disobedience, also risking your freedom and possibly your life. These are all pretty sucky options. And it's up to you, the individual gun owner, to decide which one of these options works for you, because they're not all created equal. It's not a situation where just because I have a bump stock, or just because you have a bump stock, how can I put this? Do what your own level of risk can handle. All right, just that. Do what level of risk you deem to be appropriate for your life, but be aware of the potential consequences. At the end of this video, which we are now nearing, I want to make a couple of points very, very clear. I am opposed to a ban on bump stocks, not just because I think it's a pointless ban, not just because it won't actually do anything to reduce violent crime, but because I'm opposed to the federal government expanding its authority over private citizens via executive fiat. This ban, if this ban had come through Congress and was an actual law, I would probably hate it a little bit less, but it's literally just the ATF rolling over and being like, oh yeah, this is a machine gun part now, which is something that they've done in the past, and I don't like that either. So I'm opposed to this ban. I don't think it's just, I don't think it's smart, I don't think it will do anything, and worse, we're not getting anything for it. If you had come to me and had said, Congress is going to pass a law, it's going to ban bump stocks, but we're going to get nationwide reciprocity for concealed carry. Sweet. Sign me up for that. I'll take that. I would have taken that, because that's getting something worthwhile that most gun owners can benefit from in exchange for something that few people own and is kind of a dumb accessory anyways. That I would have been fine with. In this, we just lose. That's it. We're just losing. And that's why I am opposed to this ban. I have no resistance to the ban. There's no civil disobedience that I can engage in because I don't own a bump stock. It's kind of a bummer that Slide Fire Solutions, the makers of the bump stocks, are completely fucking out of business, and people lost their jobs and all kinds of stuff now. So it is a bummer, man. And I can't tell you what's right for you to do. I oppose the ban. I think it's foolish. I think it's short-sighted. And I oppose it because we didn't get anything for it. We're not getting political capital or anything like that. I hope that at some point all this 4D chess that President Trump is supposed to be playing, that's supposed to be so great for us, actually starts fucking working. Anyway, that's it for this live stream. Thank you all for your questions, guys. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to answer chat questions today because I wanted to stay pretty focused on this topic. If you do have questions, feel free to hit me up on Instagram at Radicaleb with an underscore at the end. That's RADICALEB_. I like to answer questions. Slide into my DMs, baby. That's it. Thanks for watching.